UFC 305, the crowning of the true African king. We're gonna give you lot our predictions from the very first fight of the night all the way up to the main event, starting with the very first night or the very first fight of the early prelims. Stewart Nicoll versus Jesus Aguilar. Who've you got and why?
So this is Stewart Nicoll's first fight in the UFC. Um, he's got a lot of finishes on his record. I think maybe
Mm,
all. Well, he's got a lot of finishes, and Jesus Aguilar has had a few fights in the UFC, but his record isn't the greatest. Because what I've seen from Stuart Nicoll is like he's a very grappling heavy, like he's a very heavy pressure grappler.
yeah.
Um, but he has got striking, and he's been fighting over in New Zealand, or Australia, or something.
Mm,
So he hasn't fought anyone on the UFC level. And Jesus, sorry, Aguilar, he's got quite a few submissions. He seems like a BJJ guy. He's like quite short. He's got the shortest reach in the UFC ever. I think. I think it was ever in the UFC. He's got one KO. One thing I've noticed about him is that when he gets taken down, he like he relies on his BJJ a lot, but he
mm,
gives up a lot of bad positions, and I feel like
mm,
that's somewhere where Stuart Nicoll would like utilize and just beat him in the grappling and on the striking. His striking is all right. He's got decent power.
yeah.
Who was it that he knocked out? He had one of the nastiest knockouts.
Aguilar.
Yeah,
It was Ross.
was it Ross? Yeah, yeah. I think it was. Yeah, yeah. It was like
Overhand.
a proper nasty. Yeah, yeah. Overhand right, nasty
Like,
knockout. Yeah. Um, But yeah, like he tries to go for like guillotines and stuff like that and gives up the
mm,
positions. I think he's got a lot to learn, but I feel like Stuart Nichols got that heavy grappling style that would just he'll probably beat Jesus Aguilar on points. But
yeah.
yeah, on points, I think he'll win by unanimous decision.
Yeah, we both got Nicoll. I think you said it all. I mean, I'll just add that when Nicoll does wrestle, he knows how to keep his opponent down on the ground as well. And he doesn't do it just for the sake of keeping them down. He goes for the submission or he will try to do some damage. So I've got
Yeah,
Nicoll as well. Um I think he's gonna potentially submit Aguilar later on in the fight after he wears him down with wrestling. But let's
yeah.
move on swiftly. Up the card. Song Kenan versus Ricky Glenn. Who you got?
Oh, this fight. Fight, I'm going with Keenan Song. He's more experienced. He's got 30. He's got. I mean, sorry. How many fights has Ricky Glenn? I don't know. They both had like quite a lot of fights, but what I've seen is like Keenan Song is like fought a lot of decent opposition in the welterweights,
Mm,
and also Ricky Glenn is coming up from lightweight, so he's moving up because he's been knocked out a few times in his last fights.
yeah,
Ricky Glenn, yeah, he's been knocked out a few times his last few fights, and I feel like that's probably the best thing for him to be honest, because he's gonna come up weight, less weight to cut. His brain's gonna be in a better condition. Um, But I feel like Ricky Glenn is like very stiff. He telegraphs a lot. He's proper slow. Um, he's gonna want to try to take it to the ground, but I don't. Yeah, I just don't see him surviving on the feet with Kenan Song. Kenan is too big. Like he's proper like just a specimen, bro. Have you seen him?
mm,
He's proper bulky, like built
yeah,
guys. Um, but yeah, he's just gonna be too slow on the feet. Yeah, I just see Kenan Song just piecing him up on the stand up. Unless he could try to take it to the ground and use some of his BJJ and that, but I don't see that happening.
yeah. So once again, we've both gone with the same fighter. I've got Kenan as well. I think when I watch Ricky Glenn, he looks like he's stuck in the mud in terms of his movement. He's so static at times to the point where it looks like he's just begging to get knocked out. He got dusted by Doba and Giagos in the exact same way, a left hook. And a left hook exactly how Song knocked Ian Gary down. It was a check left hook. He hasn't had a victory for 3 years. He's 35. He's on his way out. I think Song is just gonna dust him early. and expect an early KO.
Oh, you think Song's gonna take him out? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, look, he's Glenn's on his way out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, he is, yeah, definitely. But it's just, let's see.
Let's
Yeah,
move
let's
on to
just
the
move on to
next
the
fight.
next one, man.
Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes in the lightweight division. I think this was one of the easier fights to call. When it comes to this card, who have you got?
This one, obviously, I've got Tom Nolan. He's a big prospect. He's only 24 years old. He's like 6'3". He's got like 8 knockouts. No, I think he's got 6 knockouts out of 8 fights, and only two gone to decision. Yeah, he's very long. He's got very good kicks, very good teeps. Tries to keep the fight at range. But sometimes when he closes the distance, what he does is he leaves his hands down and he gets clocked. He's been
Yeah.
clocked a few times with that overhand right, or just a shot coming over the top. He got knocked out by Nicholas Motta in the first round. I
Mm,
remember that. He got knocked out by him. And then also Martinez in his last fight, even though you stopped him straight after, but even he clocked him. Same shot. He just gets caught with a lot of them shots. And Alex Reyes, he likes to sometimes throw that shot. I mean, he's 37 years old now. He hasn't had a fight. No, wait, he's had one fight in 5 years. I think his last fight, uh, he fought in 2017, and then he
yeah,
fought
that
last
was
year,
his
I think
last
it
win.
was. Yeah,
His
yeah,
last
yeah.
17.
Alex Reyes, I think he's just too old. He's left it too late, man. He's got. He's got decent skill. I mean, you never know. He could catch Nolan over the top. He definitely could, because you see, if you watch the last fight, he does like to throw that shot a lot. But I
Mm,
mean, he's 37 now. I don't feel like he'll be able to keep up with that pace and take all that punishment, especially since you've only had 2 fights since 2017, Mike Perry and
yeah,
then Charlie Campbell last year. That's Dominic Reyes' brother as well. Do you know
yeah,
that?
but um, I've got Nolan as well.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't know if said my prediction. Yeah, I got
No,
Nolan
no,
stopping Reyes, man.
we both got Nolan. We both got. I mean, we said it prior to even clicking record. Majority of these fights are pretty easy to call. But what we do know of Nolan is that he's just like Reyes. He's susceptible to the chicken dance as well. You know, he's been clocked a few times and he's been wobbled. But with Reyes being 37, not winning since 2017, two KO defeats in his last two fights, and his injury record being similar to that of Reece James, I just think it's all going to fall apart for him super quick. Nolan is too long. He's too rangy. Is he not like 6'3" as well?
Yeah, 6'3". Yeah,
Unit, man. And I think he's just going to pick him apart and finish him super quick. I think we're going to see two back to back KOs. Both Kenan and Nolan getting the job done quick. But yeah, let's move on to the prelims. And the first fight kicking off the prelims is Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. Who have you got for this
that's
fight?
Herbert Burns is Gilbert Burns' brother. You know, it's
Yeah.
two. Yeah, yeah. You see him
Oh,
in his
bro.
corner all the time.
He's needed.
So yeah, I mean, no, do you know what it is with Herbert Burns? He's got like a bloody Charles Oliveira attitude towards fighting. Like he's got no heart. He just gives up. Well, early Charles Oliveira, sorry. Like
Oh, I was about to
just
say.
gives up. He just gives up and just like you see it, like he'll go for one takedown in the first round and that won't go his way, and then he'll just give up the rest of the fight. He'll just lay there and just like you see from his body, like his body language, he doesn't want to be there anymore. Um,
Yeah.
but what Herbert Burns does like to do, he likes to close the distance. He likes to go in for the takedowns, and that's something that Jack Jenkins doesn't like. Well, not that
Mm,
he doesn't like, but that's where he's least effective. Because if you saw his last fight, Jack Jenkins, when he fought Chepe Marasco, before he injured his arm. Remember, he's coming off a nasty like elbow injury, man. Like he
yeah.
snapped his elbow or something. Or got dislocated. It was so nasty. You see him like he tried to maintain the distance, but obviously Chepe is a dog. You know what I mean, he likes to close this. He likes to close the like distance. He likes to close the space. Um, so he was forcing Jack Jenkins to fight in the pocket in the second round. First round, he was doing very well. He's managing distance very, very well. And that's one thing. He's got very good leg kicks, got good counter shots. Yeah, and he had a very good first round, and I feel like he will be able to. I think he'll be able to just deal with the early onslaught that Herbert Burns are going to come with.
Yeah, I agree.
And then once Herbert Burns fails, he fails to take him down or something, then he's gonna not even care anymore. He's just gonna get knocked out or just lay there and just not bother
Yeah,
getting up.
yeah,
He's had a
yeah, yeah.
few fights. His last 3 fights, Herbert Burns, all of them stoppage. I think who was it that he was fighting? I can't remember the name, but
We gave up.
yeah, he didn't even
Bill
he didn't even
Algio.
get up. Yeah, Aldra, that's it. Yeah, yeah. He didn't even bother getting up. He was
Stink.
getting, and if it was just like one off, you might have had an injury, but he does that like every fight. You just see his body language just drop as soon as he goes for a takedown and he can't finish it.
Yeah,
I
he
don't.
did
I
against
think,
you.
yeah,
Crazy man.
yeah,
So you've got Jenkins.
yeah. I've got Jenkins. I feel like he'll probably stop him second round or something.
Yeah, I've got Jenkins as well. At time of recording, Jenkins is actually the minus 800 favorite.
Yeah,
Going
yeah. I saw that.
like,
I mean, it's
right
understandably
for
younger as well. He's doing that
yeah,
29.
yeah. It seems like with this card, Dana just felt the need to throw all the bums into the fire. I feel like that's what's happened on the early prelims and in this fight. I mean, Burns hasn't won since 2020. We're talking 4 years, and
Mm.
we just talked about how he gave up against Algio. Jenkins throws those nice kicks. I think he's just going to kick the shit out of Burns, and then Burns is potentially going to tap the strikes like Tristan Tate, and that's how I got Jenkins winning. I think he's going to give up again. He's going to give up
you
back
know,
to back.
Burns, yeah, that's what I think. He ain't gonna be able to handle the pressure, man.
He ain't
But
got the heart, man.
Burns, Gilbert Burns, he even says that's his younger brother. He goes,
Yeah.
his younger brother's got better BJJ than him, and he's got some slick BJJ, man. Like it's good. It's actually good. Like I think
Mm,
it was in the Aljo fight. Was it in the Aljo fight? I'm just trying to remember. Where he had like a proper tight triangle. I'm pretty sure it was the
mm.
Bill Aljo fight. He had a proper tight triangle in, and he couldn't finish it. And after that, he just gave up. Or it might have been his last fight against Julia RC, I think. I can't remember. I don't know. I can't remember. Or it might have been even Daniel Pineda. One of them. One of his last 3 losses, he had, I think it might have been Pineda. He had a nasty triangle and he couldn't finish it. And then you just see him, same thing. He's lying on the ground, just getting battered and just
Cron
accepting.
Gracie. He's been watching too much Cron Gracie.
Yeah.
That's
But
what Cron Gracie.
his BJJ is actually good. But I don't know. He just ain't got the heart for it, man.
Fair enough. We've pretty much mirrored each other's predictions up until this point. Moving on to the next fight. Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. And I'm gonna lead on this one, yeah, as the female fight watching advocate. Yeah.
Specialist.
The one and only piss break of the night. Yeah. And I'm going with Casey O'Neill. Look, and I'll tell you why. Luana Santos is a Gen Z twerking TikToker. And I'm bored of those women choosing to fight in order to promote their OnlyFans, which would have otherwise failed without the UFC's exposure. Besides that, O'Neal is more experienced of the two. Santos is super young in the game. She's only 24. I think O'Neal's experience is going to take over during the 3 rounds, and I think she's just going to take it by decision.
Is it? I pick Santos, man. I think
Santos.
Santos will probably choke her out first, not
Yeah,
first round. Sorry, somewhere in there. BJ is good, and like her last fight. She looked good, man. She got that rear naked choke. Yeah, she looked good. So I'll pick Santos. I think she'll do it.
Santos.
Probably by submission, somewhere in the second or third round.
Yeah, fizz. So I think this is the first time we've differed on our. Not surely the flipping predictions doesn't come down to that fight. That would be devastating. Anyway, moving up the card, Josh Culibao versus Ricardo Ramos. Who have you got for this fight?
This one was actually tough. This one was actually one of the tougher fights for me to pick because Ricardo Ramos has a lot more tools. You see, he does like some mad kicks. Like, he does some crazy kicks. He goes for takedowns as well. But when he
Mm.
goes for the takedowns, well, his last 2 takedowns, he got guillotined both times. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah, yeah.
So obviously, it's just like I'm sure Josh Culibao is going to be looking out for that. Um, But I feel like he's got. I feel like, come on, you have to have learned from two getting choked out the same exact way from two fights. You're gonna learn, and he hopefully doesn't make that mistake again because
Go back to back
he's
as
like
well.
29 or 30 in it, so he's quite. Yeah, he's 29, 30, so he's hopefully he's learned from that. Yeah, so I think, but with Josh Culibao, he's got very good boxing. He's very clean on the stand up, but he's a bit one dimensional sometimes. He doesn't really do anything else other than strike and like
Mm.
rely on his boxing. He's very heavy, like heavily relying on his boxing, which is good. I mean, his boxing is good. Mm, yeah, but I feel like Ramos is probably going to come for the takedowns, and he's got weird, unorthodox style. Um,
Mm.
like when who was it that he knocked out with the elbow? Danny Chavez. When he
Mm.
knocked done that nasty, nasty elbow and knocked him out. Yeah, I just think he's going to be too weird, like too unorthodox for Josh Culibao, who likes to keep it like traditional, just simple, everything simple, just orthodox fighting. And feel like yeah, I feel like I
You've
feel
got
like
Ramos.
Ramos is gonna mix it up more. He's gonna mix it up. He's gonna use the takedowns. He's gonna strike on the feet, go for takedowns. Just keep it just different, man. Hopefully he doesn't get guillotined. But yeah, I pick Ramos.
Oh, I've actually got Culibao for this fight. Look, when I think of Ricardo Ramos, I think of John Gunter. If you've watched the season of The Ultimate Fighter where DC and Stipe were both the coaches, you'll remember Gunter running headfirst into Gianetti's guillotine in the very first round, like the first 5 seconds. And that's exactly what Ricardo Ramos does, except Ramos does it back to back, 2 fights in a row. He's just so prone to mistakes. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't rate him that highly at all. I just think Culibao is going to take it to decision.
I think
Oh, based on Ramos's tendencies to be prone to mistakes. But yeah, I think
move on.
the
It's
next
time
fight.
for.
And the
So you
next
pick
fight,
you pick Josh Culibao, yeah?
yeah, no, yeah. I pick
Okay, okay,
Culibao.
okay, yeah. So we different on that one as well.
Yeah, we need to different. I know, just a ladies fight. Let's move on to the next fight. Junior Tafa v Volta Walker in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, so this is actually a decent heavyweight fight. They're both quite young. They're both in their 20s, I think. Like they're both quite young heavyweights. Um, so this one is, I feel it could go either way, but it just depends. Like if Volta Walker could get the takedowns, and if Junior Tafa, obviously, if Junior Tafa defends them, then I feel like on the feet, Junior Tafa will dominate.
He's a good
He's got
takedown
like
defense.
he's got good, powerful striking, man, and he's very clinical as well. Good shot selection, and crazy amount of power. But
Mm,
Volta Walker's grappling might be a problem. Um, and I feel like that's all Walker can offer really in this fight. If it got like we saw Tafa deal with Usman's grappling well in the first round of the fight,
yeah,
and then he kind of fell off. But he dealt with the grappling well in the first fight. But yeah, it's just like, can he grapple to that level? Um, I mean, Volta Walker. I mean, can he grapple to Osman's level where he could
yeah,
take him down and hold him there? Because we saw in the Bresky fight, when Volta Walker fought Lucas Bresky last, he wasn't able to like control him on the ground too much. Like I mean, he did get him down and control him a little bit, but Lucas Bresky got up, and I feel like Tafa's better than him in like every way. So I feel like Tafa will win just because
yeah.
he's better than Lucas Bresky, and Lucas Bresky managed to beat Volta Walker.
Mm,
So yeah, I picked Tafa by decision.
yeah.
Decision or knockout. It's a heavyweight fight. You never know, man. But
You
yeah,
know,
however, I picked Junior Tafa.
yeah, I'm gonna go against the green for this one because I've got Volta Walker. I think the
Yeah,
heavyweight division right now stinks. I think that shows when we are just talking about Muhammad Usman, like he's some great heavyweight. I don't think he's that great. We watched the Spivak fight last week, and that gave me a glimmer of hope for the heavyweight division because, for once, in a long time, we didn't have to watch a flab fest. But I think this fight is gonna revert me back to my standpoint in regards to the heavyweight division. I think we're gonna see Walker take Tafa down, regardless of Tafa's, I think it's 81% takedown defense. And I know Walker is, young. Tafa has more experience, but I think Walker is just going to be so relentless from the beginning, trying to get those takedowns. I think Tafa's eventually going to get tired, and these heavyweights, you know, they're heavy, heavy guys, man, and all that weight on top of you. Wrestling for 15 minutes, it just takes it out of you, man. And I think Walker's just going to sit on top of him, just like Gaziev did a couple of weeks ago. And I think that's how he's going to get the victory via decision.
Yeah, that's the thing with heavyweights. Once they go down, it's like impossible to
It's that
get up.
they're not getting up. They don't know
They're
how to
just
get
stuck
up.
underneath, bro. It's
Yeah,
crazy. All that weight on you. It's
yeah,
like
man.
5 tons, bro,
These
or whatever they
flabs merging into flabs. It's like a game of Tetris. Mad, bro. But yeah, let's move on to the main card. And the very first fight, kicking off the main card, is Li Jingliang versus Carlos Prates or Prates. I say
think
Prates.
it's practice.
Yeah, Prates.
So this fight is actually a mad fight because it could, like, obviously Lee is like a sick. I think he's proper good, but the only thing is he ain't fought in like 2 years,
Mm,
and he hasn't fought in 2 years, and also he's like 36 now. You know what I mean, and he's also at 8 inch reach advantage, disadvantage. Sorry,
disadvantage. Yeah.
yeah, he's at an 8 inch reach. That's crazy for that weight as well. 8 inches, and Carlos Prates has like one of the best, like best examples of Muay Thai in the whole of UFC. I think,
Yes,
like, you see, he's
yes.
a proper Muay Thai guy. He's even got Muay Thai tattooed across his chest, but
Yeah.
he's like a sick. I don't know. His striking is actually amazing. So clinical, so good to watch. But
Mm,
one thing with him, I realized, even though his striking is so clean, and he's got mad power. I forgot about that. His power's crazy. He's only, when was his last decision? I think it was before the UFC. I think it was like 2019. But um, when he fought Trevin
Kevin
Giles,
Charles,
yeah,
second
yeah,
round
he was
knockout.
getting outboxed. Like first round before he knocked him out, and that knockout was crazy. The man just threw one punch. He's like a mini Alex Pereira, bro. He's got crazy
Yeah.
power. But before he knocked him out, like he was actually out. Trevin Giles was actually outboxing him. What he was
Mm,
doing is just like normal, like just like the basics, the 101 of boxing. Like just keep, like, because he's a southpaw, just staying on the outside of his lead foot
yeah.
and just throwing hooks. Like you can't really jab against a southpaw; it's a bit difficult because his hands
Mm,
there. But he was just kind of going around the jab, throwing hooks, and then setting up his other punches. And with the thing uh, uh, with Lee is that he's got crazy, like he's got good boxing, not crazy boxing, but he's got, his boxing's good, and he likes to close the distance. He throws like decent shots, and he just goes a bit nuts sometimes. But because he likes trading in the, like, he likes trading in the pocket
in
sometimes.
the
But I
pocket.
mean, he's
Yeah.
got decent counter punching as well, so his boxing's good. Um, I feel like if you can somehow use his takedowns and just try to take mix in the takedowns with practice, but I don't see that happening, man. I feel like he's just gonna be on the end of all his kicks. But I don't think uh Carlos Prates is gonna be able to knock him out. He's never been knocked out in his life, and he's not. I
Mm,
don't feel like he will be the guy to knock him out. He could be because he's got some of the cleanest striking, man. But yeah, I just see it as it will end up being a close decision victory for Carlos Prates.
li- Same here. I think Prates is super fun to watch, and his confidence is at an all-time high, especially with the nasty knockout against Radike. It was filthy knockout, man. With Lee,
The knee, wasn't it? Oh, knee to
yeah,
the
it was
body.
a knee.
Knee to the body. Yeah, I remember that.
He started toying with him. Yeah, it was a filthy knee, man. But with Lee, I think unfortunately people look forward to what he's going to be wearing at the press conference as opposed to watching him fight. Leading up to this fight, all I've been seeing is, oh my god, what's Lee going to be wearing at the press conference? Or if Lee's not wearing a suit, I'm going to uninstall Twitter or whatever. But I think the same way we were talking about some of the female fighters using the UFC to promote their OnlyFans, I think Lee should use the UFC to promote some sort of suit clothing line. 'Cause, he's been out. I believe he's had an injury, and I know you said maybe Prates isn't the one to knock him out, but I think he is. I think Prates, with his striking, his power, and with Lee taking a bit of a layoff and being a bit rusty, I think it's the perfect combination for a potential highlight knockout. And I think this is where Prates pretty much, introduces himself to, the mainstream, and people actually look at him as a serious guy. And I think that's exactly why they've put him as the opener for the main card.
Yeah, it's an exciting fight, man. Let's go on to the next one.
So our next fight, our second and final heavyweight bout of the night. Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Who have you got for this one and why?
I pick Rozenstruik, to be honest. I feel like it will end early. It will be
Yeah.
a early finish
Oh,
because Tai Tuivasa recently in his last four fights he's been knocked. Has he been knocked out? No, well, I
yeah,
think he's been stopped early in but all four fights.
yeah.
He just takes too much punishment. I feel like he just thinks that's his style. Like he's gonna take the punishment and come forward, and he's like a wounded animal, or something. Like he'll bite back when he's hurt, but he's not that guy. You know what I mean, he's not that guy, man. He just I feel like with him, it's too. He's got. Oh, one sec.
He's been finished in his last four
Yeah,
defeats. A rear
yeah,
naked
yeah,
choke,
exactly. And
knocked out twice.
I feel like what's gonna happen is that they're gonna come out early, and they're just gonna fake each other like for time, and then start throwing
Yeah,
shots, and then start swinging at each other, and then Rosenstrike's gonna have the better shot selection and just catch him with his
yeah,
chin and just end him again. If Tai Tuivasa gets knocked out again, bro, he's got to cut down to middleweight or something, man. He's not made for heavyweight division.
yeah,
He's just
yeah.
got so much flab, bro. He's got nothing like.
Yeah.
He
Him and
just got to
Tony
cut down,
Ferguson
man.
are arguing losing streaks. Stinks.
Yeah, man. Crazy. And he's only 29 and he's on like his streak is like he's got to do something. He's got to do something, bro. You know what I mean? He's got to
Yeah,
take some time out. I feel like he's got to cut down, even though he's a massive guy, but he's just got so much fat on him, man.
it's been taking him a
He
long,
could
long
probably
time.
make it. He could probably cut down to light heavyweight, but yeah, I pick Rosenstrike to win first round KO.
Yeah. Same here, except I've got a different outcome. I've got Rozenstruik as well. Solely because Tuivasa eats finishes for breakfast as a reason, and he drinks phlegm from a shoe.
Oh
An
yeah,
absolute tramp. Do you remember when him and Volk both spat in that shoe, and then he went
yeah,
on
he knows.
to drink it? Stinker. But anyway, Rozenstruik, I think personally, I think he's better on the feet. He's more technical kickboxer on the feet. He's also the faster of the two. Maybe not the more powerful, but I think he is the faster between the two. Um, I think Rozenstruik is just gonna outland him. He's gonna land more volume, and I don't know if I see a knockout. I've got here Rozenstruik via decision. I don't know. I
This
just
is
can't see. Yeah, I
decision,
just
yeah.
can't see Vessel. Yeah,
I feel like
landing
there's
the
too
big
much power in that
one.
fight, bro. To
Yeah,
end this in.
yeah. But I think Rozenstruik is just gonna play it sensible. He's gonna pick the right shots. He knows he's got the speed advantage between the two of them, and I think he's just gonna do what he has to do to win. I'm expecting him not to get into a scrap in the pocket. I'm expecting him to kind of bounce around and find from the outside. But yeah, it's the heavyweight division, like you said. You never know. You never know what round it could end. Anyway, let's move on to the next fight of the night, and that is Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan Hooker.
This fight is a bit. This fight was a bit tricky because you obviously we know what Gamrot's uh,
Really?
tactics are going to be. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, like we know what his tactics are going to be. He's just going to come
yeah,
in high pressure wrestling, get the
hundred
takedowns, and
percent.
just
Yeah,
control him. But it's like, bro, like why doesn't anyone prepare for it, bro? I mean, because like the Hooker, he's got decent takedown defense. Like it's actually decent, and Gamrot, even though most of his takedowns he disguises them well, he sets them up very good, and then once he's in, he's in. But sometimes he'll just shoot in, and like against who's his last RDA. When he fought RDA, he went in for the takedown. I think it was first round, and he got clipped with a knee.
yeah,
He got a knee first round, I think it was. But he's just like obviously he just resorts to his what he knows best, and that's his grappling. So when he's like off, like just like wobbly on his feet, he'll just grab a leg or grab something and just carry on wrestling and just recover like that. But yeah, he got caught with that knee, and Hooker's got decent knees, but I just feel like can he time them? Like can he like time them and catch him with the knee as he comes in? It's like very hard, but I mean it's doable. We've seen him get clipped by it before, and also in um, Gamrot's last was it his last fight against Fiziev? Was that his last fight? But whatever, in that fight,
No, RDA.
we
It was before
oh
RDA.
yeah, that idea was the last fight. Fiziev was the fight before, and we saw even though it ended with that injury, Gamrot couldn't go for the takedown in the first round. And I was watching it and I was thinking, what was like Fiziev doing? Like what he was like, what I saw is that he was throwing a lot of shots to the body, as in punches to the body, not kicks. Because in the second round, he threw a kick to the body, it got caught, and he got taken down. But he was throwing shots to the body, and when you're throwing shots to the body, your hands are already there. Do you know what I mean? You're low,
Yeah.
like you're prepared for that takedown to come, and you're not gonna really go for the takedown. Because I think he did try once in the first
Mm.
round, and then never went through. Like we know what his tactics are going to be. I mean, he's not going to come with nothing special, but it's just can Dan Hooker um, deal with the takedowns for for 3 rounds for the whole fight? I don't think he can. That's the only thing. I feel like Dan Hooker will steal the fight with a couple takedowns and just with enough control time.
Gamrot.
I feel like
Gamrot. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Gamrot. Yeah, Gamrot's going to take him down and just get enough control time and beat Dan Hooker on points. I think it could be
Yeah.
a close fight, but I feel like he'll probably unanimous decision, man.
Yeah.
Let's see
100%.
it.
Yeah. Same here. I bet a man puts it on Gamrot via decision.
Yeah,
Gamrot's style is very alienating. But I like him because he does what he has to do, and he chooses the path of least resistance. I think his
yeah,
grappling is just gonna be too good. I can see him ragdolling Hooker around, similar to what Islam did to Hooker. Well, Hooker's long, lengthy. You mentioned the knees, but I can't see him landing one of those. While Gamrot tries to cross that void. I think Hooker's last fight against Turner was a bit of a ball fest. His tattoos are meaty. I think we're going to see exactly why Gamrot was brought into Poirier's camp for the Islam fight, and we saw how good Poirier's takedown defense was at times during
mm,
that fight. Obviously, Islam had to go to the next level to be able to take Poirier down and finish him, but I do think Gamrot is going to just maul him to a decision, and I can't see
yeah,
Hooker landing much offense.
yeah. Because Dan
So,
Hooker does have decent takedown defense, but it's
yeah,
just it only works against like lower level grapplers. You know what I mean, like against the elite level grapplers, he never can manage. When he fought, wasn't it Claudia Puelles? I think it was. When he fought him, he was able to deal with his takedowns all day long because
mm,
I mean, he was doing Imanari rolls and stuff like that, and it didn't work. Like them kind of, if it's not like if he's not too much pressure, he could deal with it. But when he gets passes that threshold, he just gets taken down, man. Yeah,
move
we
on to
both
the
got
co-main
Gamrot.
event. Let's move on to the co-main event. This is a fight I'm very, very excited to watch. I think it's a tough fight to call, and that fight is Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg. A lot for us to get our teeth into for this fight. Who have you got?
I got Erceg, man. I thought this one for me is easy, man.
Really?
Erceg, he's just too big. He's powerful. He's got way better boxing. He's got sick combinations,
Mm,
and like he's got like we saw him against like Pantoja, like what he was able to do, what he's really made out of. You know what I mean? He's like timing them shots to perfection. He's coming in with them elbows. I think it's gonna be way too much for like Kai Kara France to handle, man. Especially like Kai Kara France, he likes to like throw these little single shots. He's not really that aggressive coming forward.
wasn't with power
Like to
though.
fight in the yeah, I know, but I feel like Erceg's gonna have way more power than him. I feel like I feel like Erceg's gonna he's got
Interesting.
I feel like Erceg's just gonna knock him out, man. I feel like he's gonna be too big. Like Steve Erceg is massive. You know what I mean, he's huge for that
Mm,
division. Um, but even though he's like 4 or 5 inches taller than him, their reach is the same. But I
yeah,
feel like Erceg is the better shot selection, better combinations, just better striking all round. To be honest, and he even goes for takedowns and stuff sometimes, so like might even mix them in somewhere as well. But I just see Erceg winning, probably by knockout in the later rounds or
yeah,
stoppage.
yeah. That's exactly what I've got written actually. Steve Erceg via TKO in the third round. But I think both guys are really good. I think Erceg's the better of the two when it comes to picking the shots. I think he should expect a fight similar to the Pantoja fight, not because of the wrestling, but more so the blitzing that Pantoja used. I
Mm.
think Kai Kara France is going to do something similar. I think he's going to blitz in order to land the offense. The problem as to why Erceg may not have won that fight against Pantoja was not just because he lost those chain grappling exchanges, but also because he didn't punish Pantoja early on once he initiated those blitzes. It took him a couple of rounds, if you remember, to start catching with that left hook or those
Mm.
elbows on the way in. He's gonna have to catch Kai Kara France, I think, a lot earlier to deter him from those blitzes because Kai Kara France, he's got a good amount of power. We saw it in the Cody Garbrandt fight. I mean, he cleaned him out, and Garbrandt himself has power. Yeah, he was the one on the back foot circling around the octagon.
Mm.
Um, but I think Kai Kara France potentially thinking that he has more power between the two. I don't think he's going to be deterred from throwing those big shots.
Who
And
you think Sakara France got the more power?
potentially, yeah,
You
I
think
think he's got more confidence in his power. Like if you see,
really?
yeah, if you see the Garbrandt fight, I think the reason he throws one shot at a time is because he's throwing a bomb each time. He's throwing with power, and I think that's how
Yeah,
he's
but
gonna
knocking out
try to.
Garbrandt isn't like a anyone can knock out Garbrandt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but look, I think he would have watched Pantoja fight and saw, look, Pantoja had some great success initiating with those blitzes. I think I can do the same thing, but
Mm.
carrying more power, I think I could potentially knock out Erceg. Because remember, Erceg, he took a little bit of time to start getting his timing, catching Pantoja on the way in, cutting him with that elbow. It was later on in the fight. But
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of that, I'm still gonna give it to Erceg just because I think he's gonna be evasive enough to not get caught, even to the point where he could get Kai Kara Francis to I keep calling him Francis, but it's just France and Kai Kara France. Yeah, I think he's gonna get Kai Kara France to just punch himself into fatigue, and bearing in mind he's been out for over a year as well, Kai Kara France.
Mm.
So there might be a little ring rust there. But yeah, I think Erceg is going to be super evasive. I think we've seen he's comfortable fighting off the back foot. I think Kai Kara France potentially gets tired and Erceg finishes him in the first round.
First round, yeah. Damn.
Oh, sorry, third round, third
Okay.
round. First
Okay.
round, that would be crazy. Give him the
Could be.
title
It could
shot.
be.
Give him the title shot if you finish him in the first.
Who
Like,
Erceg? Give Erceg another title shot.
yeah, if you finish him in the first, because where's Amir Al-Bazi? We haven't seen that guy for so long, and he's one of the top
Yeah.
contenders. Who else do you give
He
it to?
beat Kai France last as well.
Yeah, and I mean, look, they're talking about Pantoja versus Asakura right now, whatever.
Is
But
it?
yeah, I don't know when. Anyway, let's move on to the main event. Yeah, is the fight that we've been looking forward to since DDP became champ and Adesanya announced his return. It is Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya for the crown and the throne for the King of Africa.
This
Who
might
have
be the
you got?
biggest fight ever in UFC, bro.
He's fighting Africa's
Biggest fight.
history.
This is more than just a fight. This is more than just a title. This is for the crowning of Africa, bro. Who's the
The
real
whole
African? This is
continent
like
is what.
this is like the fight from Wakanda, bro. You know when they're fighting on the river to see who's the king. This is that fight. This fight is something else. Bro, I've been waiting for this fight for so long.
Yeah, yeah,
This is
it's
like
because the narrative,
number one, bro.
the agenda,
Yeah, the narrative's mad.
the
But anyway,
narrative's
for
mad.
the fight, this fight, this fight is for me. It was actually not difficult, but it is like it's quite hard to predict because
Really?
yeah, I mean, like I don't feel like Dricus or any one of them is just gonna dominate. I mean, like so me personally, I've went for Dricus Du Plessis because he just became champ, and I feel like we're gonna see like a boost in his performance. I feel that's what we're gonna see. He's got this weird, unorthodox style. He throws weird shots, weird takedowns, uh, and he mixes up a bit more than Adesanya. But I feel like, bro, he could like think about it. Rob Adesanya beat Robert Whittaker, but Dricus beat him more convincingly.
Mm.
Adesanya couldn't beat Strickland, but Dricus had a very close fight, even though it was very close. He did win. He could obviously it's like styles make fights, but I feel like Dricus Du
Yeah.
Plessis is just that weird awkward style you can't really train for. I mean,
Mm.
like he throws shots from all over the place. And he's very strong. He's very powerful. Like one kick to your leg can just that's it, just mess up that leg for the rest of the fight. He's got this weird way of fighting, but it works. That's the
Yeah.
thing, and he's like very good forward pressure. Like we've obviously Adesanya's got very good takedown defense. So like the grappling, I don't know if Dricus is gonna go for the like if he is gonna try grapple like that, but I'm sure he will. I'm sure he's gonna try mix up everything and just throw takedowns at weird times, throw shots at like randomly, just like loads of pressure. Um, Obviously we know Izzy's got elite level striking. You know what I mean? Like one of the best in the UFC. Like one of the best ever in the UFC as well. He's a sick counter puncher, mixes up his shots very well, but he relies on his timing. His timing is his key. And Dricus fights at like such a weird, like he fights so offbeat.
Mm.
It's so difficult to time him. Like we saw against Robert Whittaker, the first round, Whittaker was doing well, but then the second round, Dricus come in with some weird, like just throwing shots random. It's just so weird how he throws his shots,
Mm.
and he starts landing, and he's got power. You know what I mean? Like he stunned Robert Whittaker with a jab. So he's gonna be. I feel like Adesanya just ain't gonna be able to time him. Like we saw Adesanya struggle against Strickland because Strickland just took that like his ability to time shots away completely. Do you know what I mean? Like he'll throw a kick, he'll check it, he'll just like lift his arm up like that and block his jab or hook or whatever. Do you know what I mean? He just wasn't able to time his shots, and I feel like Dricus Du Plessis is going to be even more of a nightmare to time for Adesanya. So I just see Dricus Du Plessis. I think that he's going to take it
Yeah.
probably a bad decision. Yeah, it's going to go full
Yeah.
five rounds, and I feel Dricus is going to win. He's
I
a new
can't
king
believe
of Africa.
I can't believe you chose Dricus Du Plessis to be the
Is
one
it?
to rightfully take the title of the King of Africa. Because I picked him too, yeah? Dricus Du Plessis is going to be the King of Africa, and he's going to be the man to take UFC to Africa for their first ever event, yeah? South Africa, yeah? Not Nigeria, yeah? Not China, is he? Adesanya, yeah? South Africa. Yeah, I'm going for Du Plessis as well. Look, I think I really liked pre-champ Izzy. His fight against Derek Brunson, his fight against Kelvin Gastelum, him winning the belt off Robert Whittaker. I really like that Adesanya. I think once Adesanya became champ, he became a bit of a more cautious fighter. You know, he centered his game around those leg kicks. Um, and what we saw was obviously we say that Strickland, um, Strickland versus Adesanya was one of the biggest upsets we've ever seen. But in reality, it was Strickland came up with a really really good game plan. He figured out the blueprint, and it was putting Izzy on the back foot, but also checking his kicks. Because once you check his kicks, his game plan kind of goes out the window because that's the foundation of his game plan in every fight. Throwing those kicks and then relying on his counters, but also making his way up top to the head. But DDP against Strickland really fought for the center of that octagon. And I think he's going to do the same against Izzy. But unlike Strickland, I see him mixing it up against Izzy as well with his wrestling, just like he did against Strickland. I think DDP just has too many tools. He has so many different tools. He has access to his takedowns. He can't. You talked about the angles that he throws at. He throws at some strange angles. Like he's got the strangest overhand right I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. It just looks all technically wrong, but it worked in the Strickland fight. He's more well-rounded, and also he's been more active. You didn't mention that Izzy's been out for a while now.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, is his heart in it? Does he even see himself fighting for much longer? Did he feel like it was more of an obligation as opposed to him wanting to come back? But also, is he going to stay professional? Because there's been a lot of talk in the build up. Is he talking about, this guy's disrespecting my people and the things that he said and whatnot? Is he going to be too emotional? Also, another aspect of the fight, which I'm really interested to see, you mentioned Izzy's counter punching. one of his signature moves is that lean back left hook. He used it against Whitaker, and that's why he knocked him out with. I'm hoping that DDP will see that and generate a takedown. Once Izzy leans back and his legs are planted, he's right there for the taking. We've seen it so many times, and I think DDP is going to be the man to take him down. But yeah, I think DDP is going to take him down. I think he's going to put on a bit of a mixed martial arts clinic, and rightfully take his seat on the throne with the title of King of Africa, and he will main event UFC South Africa next year. While the three former African kings kick rocks. So Dricus Du Plessis via unanimous decision at UFC South Africa will be there. Yeah, well, not there. We're gonna be watching it from home. Yeah, so we both got DDP, and I think that wraps up the predictions. Make sure you lot tune in on Saturday night. Well, we'll be doing the watch along, watching every single fight, apart from the Luana Santos fight. Yeah, we'll be taking a piss break for that fight. Well, yeah, just stay tuned for the watch along. End of week roundup. Potentially a breakdown on not only the whole card but the main event, and we might drop in some other videos throughout the week. You never know. What? Catch us on the live stream on Saturday.